Stardew Valley is a game that caught me off guard for how much it had grown in its lifespan as an indie game since its release in 2016. In fact, Stardew Valley has become so widely available that now you have no excuse to have not played it already. You can play it on your PC, pretty much any console, your phone, your Tesla, and they even made a board game so that Neanderthals can play as well. And with the overwhelming positive reaction to the announcement of developer Concerned Ape's newest game, I felt that it was finally time for me to seriously dive into this game. Admittedly, I have played Stardew Valley once or twice before, but I never got very far through it. This is my chance to really experience the potential this game has. I'm not too worried about trying to spend the time, as my brief visits have already proven to me that this game has a ton of stuff to do. However, we will see how long all of these quests can really last when I put Stardew Valley to the test of time. Minecraft is a game that most people have played and loved, including myself. It offers endless hours of exploration and especially creativity. Minecraft leaves the story up to the player's creativity and imagination, relying on the users to determine where their adventure will take them. For the people who would rather be told what to do, or simply lack that key ingredient of imagination, I would direct them to Stardew Valley. This game takes the idea of building your own home and sustaining yourself in a mostly unsettled area, but gives you goals, adventures, and a general plot to keep you busy. With a town to tour, people to help, monsters to slay, and crops to grow, Stardew Valley might just be the best of both worlds. You escape from your boring, sluggish life in the city by inheriting your grandfather's old farm in the land of Stardew Valley. It's as overgrown as the massive moss charger from Hollow Knight, but with your tools and with the help of people living in the nearby Pelican town, you are able to revive the land into a plentiful farm once more. While at its core, Stardew Valley is a farming simulator, it really feels like this game tries to be anything and everything. The heart of the game happens on your farm, a large plot of land outside the town. In the beginning, it feels as though you have too much space to maintain, but you will quickly realize that you do not have nearly as much land as you wish you did. Most of the space on my farm was devoted to cropland and areas for my produce animals to graze. But those aren't the only things you can build on your land. If you visit the carpentry shop with the right materials and a lot of money, Robin the Carpenter can build you a handful of structures that serve different purposes, from a horse stable to a flour mill to literally a slime hutch. That's right, I was even able to breed and farm slimes. There are no rules on your farm. You can do whatever you want. This is why I've heard a few people compare this game to Minecraft. And while there is a structure and line of events to the game, you are generally free to do whatever you want. As you build up your farm, you will run into NPC characters, most of whom live in Pelican Town, which you will visit on a daily basis. In my playthrough, I spent as little time as I could in my farm, because the real adventure was in the town and the land surrounding it. The people living in the town are so incredibly diverse and memorable. From eccentric Vincent, a kid who is always excited to play and do what he wants, to Shane, a young alcoholic who needs a bit of hope in his life, to Evelyn, a sweet old woman who tends the community flower beds and sends you cookies in the mail. Not only are each of the characters unique, but they are incredibly well developed and grow as you progress through the game. As you chat with them, give them gifts, and fulfill errands for them, you can watch them grow, develop, and overcome obstacles. This makes them seem like much more than NPCs. You can make them become better people by being their friend, and you are rewarded with clear arcs for each of them. The game would feel pretty empty without the dozens of characters that grow as you play. These characters are a huge part of what gives this game life. One of my favorite parts of the whole game is that every Friday night, over half the town will show up in the saloon, which just feels incredibly real. Seeing everyone at the table, talking or playing a game of pool at the start of the weekend makes Pelican Town feel like a real community. During my first year of the game, I got to know each of the 25 or so characters and I enjoyed it a lot, but I expected that to be it. After all, there are so many diverse and enjoyable characters, the game didn't feel like it needed more. But after the second year, new characters started popping up, bringing their own behavior and personalities. I was honestly shocked that there were even more, and this stretched my expectations beyond what the game had already given me. Every month I started expecting a new NPC to show up somewhere who I could talk to and learn about, and the surprising part is that they did. That one fact kept the game feeling really fresh, as it proved that this game was not past making you wait to find new secrets it had in store. The game takes these characters to another level with what I can only call a dating simulator. Although in truth it is the most basic dating simulator I've ever seen. By talking to the NPCs every day, as well as giving them gifts they like and fulfilling tasks they may ask you to do, your friendship level with them will increase. When you reach certain friendship levels, you may witness cutscenes or events that show the character development that I talked about earlier. But if you get certain characters labeled as single to max friendship level, then you can give them a bouquet to make them your girlfriend or boyfriend. This does pretty much nothing, but open up more levels of friendship and one or two new cutscenes with them. Finally, if you reach the maximum level friendship, you can actually marry them, which is about as meaningful as dating them. They will move into your house, but aside from another cutscene or two, you really do not get much out of it. This part of the game honestly just felt inserted because it made the game more realistic, and probably also to make these characters feel even more real and developed than they already were. But I don't think it was executed as well as the other parts of the game, and is completely skippable if you're just not interested. Although talking to characters and learning about them is wholesome, there is still a lot more to do in Stardew Valley. Early in the game, you will run across the community center, a run-down old building. Inside you will find bundles, which come in sets of 5 or 6, which ask you to gather various items from across the game. Completing a bundle will reap you a small reward, but completing whole sets will open up new areas, give you access to modes of fast travel, and new structures to build. In addition, a part of the community center will be restored. This gives you a real goal to work toward during the beginning of the game, and completing each set feels incredibly rewarding. When you're not working hard on your farm to produce the items for each bundle, you can head out of town and explore some of the other activities worth trying out. The mines are found beyond the town and are how you gather stone, minerals, and monster part, all of which are useful or even crucial in developing your land or completing your bundles. They are also swarming with monsters, which means that the game, along with being a basic sandbox, a farming simulator, and a dating simulator, is also a dungeon crawler. While the combat function is about as basic as it gets, and honestly feels a little forced like the marriage, it is pretty fun and can take up a good amount of your time, especially when you get into the deeper levels and the enemies ramp up in difficulty. However, after you've reached the bottom and have enough stone and ore to last a few in-game years, there's very little motivation to return. The other thing to do outside your farm is fish, and while fishing is even more basic than mining, I found it to be really relaxing. Often when there wasn't any other tasks I had planned for a day, I would simply head to the nearest lake or stream and cast my rod. In fact, I probably spent more time fishing than I did in the mines, even though there really isn't anything to it other than reeling in fish after fish. One aspect of the game that I've neglected to talk about so far is the time system in this game, which I think is handled spectacularly. Each day lasts only about 12 minutes or so, although certain activities will pause the clock. But this is usually enough time to complete several tasks you have planned. You also have a stamina bar that drains you as you do physical activities, and a health bar for when you're fighting monsters, but these will be replenished each morning. However, if you neglect or simply forget to head to your home for the night, once the clock reaches 2 AM, you will pass out and wake up fatigued, with a bill for the hassle of dragging you back to your cabin. Each month in the game equals 28 days, and rather than having 12 months, the game reduces it down to 4, each based on a season: spring, summer, fall, and winter. Each crop type has a certain month that it can grow during, and each season has its own festival and events. But more importantly, each season brings a new look to the world of the game. And seriously, I could go on forever looking at this game's perfect pixel graphics. The palette is vibrant and alive, and each season is full of color. I found a lot of my playtime spent just gazing at the trees during the fall with all their different colors, or observing how animate the world feels in spring. I've always been a fan of pixel art, and this perfectly displays why I love it so much. And all this lovely scenery pairs perfectly with the music, and oh my gosh, the music. Every track feels specially handcrafted for each scenario, and they still sound gorgeous, even after hours and hours of the same track. The seasonal music especially feels really good. In the spring and summer, the music is fast, happy, and bright, reminding you that this is another great day to get work done. The music during the fall and winter slows, matching the temperature as the valley grows cold and slow, making you just want to stay indoors all day with your fire and your pet cat. Even beyond the gameplay, the art and music of this game make it a standout masterpiece. I cannot comprehend how a single developer had so much talent. He could design a game, create its whole marvelous world, add a banger soundtrack, and still have really good gameplay. I went into my 60-hour playthrough of Stardew Valley expecting smooth sailing. Since I had a small taste of it previously, I was sure that there would be enough special little things to keep me busy for a really long time. And for the most part, it was smooth sailing. Between the farm, mining, fishing, and talking to the people around town, not to mention the smaller things that made the game that much more special. From deserts to arcade games and festivals to literally gambling at a casino, this game really does try to be everything at once. I had already been playing for 31 hours when I completed my first in-game year, which seems crazy since there is so much to do year by year. I can't imagine how long people spend on one save file. I had a lot of fun, with hardly a moment where I felt bored. That is until around the 50-hour mark, where things slowed down a lot. I had just finished the Mysterious Key quest, where you follow a trail of clues, Sherlock Holmes style, left behind by a man who runs the desert casino, when I realized I didn't know what else to do. I had no missions in my quest menu, the few remaining items from bundles were out of season, and I had already reached max friendship on a good handful of the town. Running out of quests in a game isn't uncommon, but the reason the sudden lack of things to do hit so hard was because there were clearly still experiences to be had in the game. The world was still littered with obvious hints that would have meaning later, but I had no idea how to solve them, or even if I could. Instead, I spent my last few hours fishing and constructing as many buildings as I could with the vast riches I had gained from my farm. It felt incredibly lackluster, and I was sad because I knew I was missing out on so much just sitting in the game, waiting, wondering when a new mysterious letter would show up in my mailbox, or an NPC would send me on a crazy new quest. But nothing substantial ever came around. I actually never made it to the end of my second year. I finished my 60-hour playthrough halfway through winter, presumably because I had paused the game too many times through fishing, Jumino Kart, and the casino. One thing I love about Stardew Valley is that there is no end. It is open-ended, so you can keep playing the same file for hundreds of hours, even if all you're doing is tending your crops and talking to the citizens. I think that you will definitely need more than 60 hours to fulfill this game, and I am definitely considering returning to the game in my spare time just to see if anything happens at the beginning of the third year. Stardew Valley is a deep, pumpkin-flavored breath of fresh air. It is full to the brim with things to do, from crop care to monster slaying. But really, the characters are what make this game shine. The depth that they bring adds so much to the game, and it gives it a shot of flavor. This game really made me feel that it could go on forever and always have more surprises. Unfortunately, that feeling didn't hold up all the way through, even though I could tell that the game still had more things it wanted to show me. It is because of these things that I'm only giving it a 9 out of 10 on the 60-hour scale, along with the Wholesome NPCs Award, Beautiful Experience Certificate, and the Tries Everything Trophy. Those last few hours left a hunger that disappointed me. This was almost a perfect game, but the several hours that felt like a stale waiting period before something new happened simply kept it from earning that perfect score. Ultimately though, this is a fantastic game, and I would completely recommend giving it a try if you have a few hundred hours to spare or just need a wholesome time with some friendly NPCs. Thank you for watching this episode of 60 Hour Games. If you enjoyed it, consider dropping a like, and if you are interested in hearing me discuss playing more games for 60 hours, you can subscribe so that you won't miss any future videos. And make sure to let me know what you thought, as well as any game suggestions you might have for me to play, in the comments section or on Twitter at 60 Hour Games. Again, thank you very much for watching, and God bless.